Convocation? Father, thank you for this day and for this chance to govern ourselves. We ask you to lead, guide, and direct us in the accomplishment of our duty. Watch what we do, and hopefully we do what's good in your sight. We ask you to bless this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
to the flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, at this time, I believe we have one person with public comment, Mr. Sam Eason.
This is not an issue. Can you, am I turned on? It on?
Mr. Easton,
It's not?
I don't think it is, sir.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, this is not an issue that I have object to, but I understand there's a perception going around town about the number of hours worked and available at City Hall. And I know that perception can become reality. I understand and I believe that more things are happening in this city and more things are being accomplished than have happened since Tommy and I moved here in 2013. So I'm just saying you might want to consider the perception of what's going on. Second, and most importantly, Tommy made some chocolate and lemon cupcakes over there. And please take them, because if you don't, I'll take them home and eat them. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we don't need that.
Thank you, sir. Announcements time. All right, as everybody knows, our Christmas event got postponed till this coming Saturday in the park from 4 to 6 p.m. I hope to see many people as we can come on out and enjoy that event. I want to thank the guys from Public Works for the job they did on the Christmas decoration. Very good work. Awesome job. Let's see, we have January 1st, the city office will be closed for New Year's. The 6th, the plan is the next P and Z meeting at 6 p.m. We have January 7th is our bulk trash pickup day. The 8th will be our outdoor siren test, weather permitting. And then January 9th and the 23rd will be our next city council meetings at our regular scheduled time. I also have an announcement from TxDOT that they will be resurfacing Main Street and the intersection by Dairy Queen on 3433 and the entrance road. I think they're going to start Saturday between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. So expect delays. Another great thing I'm happy to announce is we have our GoGo site up. It's a notification app, which will be our new way of communicating to the public. And it's going to be called Rhome Connect. And this will be published on, you're going to publish this QR code so you can scan it. You can go to the App Store and download the app. We will be pushing information out via that app and versus social media. We will not be using social media for communications anymore. It will give you a link back to the city website for official information. Just please have as many people as we can get the word out can download this app. And I think it's going to make a world of difference for information and communication to the public. Let's see, I think that was all the announcements. You have anything else? Anybody else?
You said TxDOT was Saturday?
I believe it starts Saturday the 14th, yes. So, all right, let's moving on to the council, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
We have a second.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on, is there any questions from council concerning the monthly staff reports, general reports, or the board minutes? Nothing heard. Moving to the next, moving on to the regular agenda. Item number 1, we have a presentation by the Northwest Independent School District. Who do we have? Yes, sir, go ahead. Thank you.
Since it was going at 3.
Yes,
Okay,
I can advance for you or whichever you would like.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'm so many of that.
No worries.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you this evening. I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary with the district. I started in January of 2023. This is my first time to visit City Council. I've been out to Rome a bunch of times, but just happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to provide you with an update. I may look over my shoulder a little bit to make sure I know what slide I'm on. Thank you all also for your service. You're serving this community, which is one of the communities that is a part of Northwest ISD, and we know that you guys put in a tremendous amount of effort to make sure that your town's squared away. And so again, you guys are in the service industry, just like we are in public education as a governmental subdivision. And so thank you for what you do. I do want to say that you may or may not know this, but Northwest ISD is turning 75 years old. 1949 was the year that the district was formed, and your town is part of that very important history. So 4 school districts came together. They wanted to pool their resources. It was Hazlet, Justin, Roanoke, and Rome Public School. Does that building look familiar?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and so that was the genesis of Northwest ISD when those communities came together and said, we want to do more for kids. If we pool our resources, we believe we can do that. This is a year that we're celebrating that 75 years, that tradition of excellence in serving kids in our community for 75 years. So if I may, I'd like to share with you a token of our appreciation. This is for the city. It says, in grateful recognition to the city of Rome for being a cornerstone in the creation of Northwest ISD as we celebrate 75 years of educational excellence, 1949 to 2024. Can I present this?
Yes. Thank you.
Get it? Oh, hang on, let's do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Turn, we can turn the podium, turn this just a little bit. so you can
Okay.
turn.
That way you don't have to
That'd be
turn
great.
all the way around. There you go.
Okay.
How's that?
Awesome.
Floor's up there. Keep going.
Yeah. Educated, modifying this, right? Thank you, guys. So again, we hope we have another 75 years of excellence, and but you guys will always be a part of that foundation. So we appreciate you. I want to give a quick overview of the district, just a lot that's going on. We are one of the fastest growing districts in the state of Texas and North Texas. We have I have 7 bosses, elected officials that support the district. The newest couple of board members are Board President Steve Sproles and Jennifer Murphy, our Board Vice President. They've been in the district for about 15 years, so they're newcomers. And the 4 of the other 5, Dr. Rouse has been in almost 30 years, been in the district for almost 30 years and worked for us. 4 other board members, Deanne Hatfield, Judy Cobb, Mark Schluter, and Dr. Ann Davis Simpson, are all Northwest ISD graduates, Northwest High School graduates. I also love to tell the story that they married their high school sweethearts. I think the youngest marriage is in the 40-year mark, but one of them's been married for more than 50 years. But they are hometown folks. Their families have been here for, I think Deanne Hatfield's family has been here since the 1890s. And the cops are over in Dustin. And so all that to say, they are plugged in and actively engaged in our district. They're incredible supporters of our kids, and it's been a blessing for me to work with them. I just wanted to introduce you to them. I want to start with one of our core beliefs in the district. I won't go through all of our goals and priorities, but we recently worked on this just about a year ago. Our core belief is kids come first. Every decision we make is through the filter or lens of what's best for kids. And you'll hear us say kids come first all the time. Anyone that works in our district will tell you that. 3 district goals that we have: personalized learning experiences for growth, our academic goals, strong foundation in literacy, and preparing kids for life after being in our organization. We used to get them to graduation. Now we talk about getting them through graduation and on to that next thing. So college career and or military life readiness. That second goal is getting the best folks here we possibly can, recruiting top talent, taking care of them, treating them right, investing in them, and keeping them with us, just like you guys do with your fire, PD, all those folks that engage in your city. You want to get them here, get good ones here, and keep them, and train them up while you're doing it. And then finally, as evidenced by why I'm here, our third goal is about a safe learning environment and a culture of engagement, where all of our kids and all of our folks that are involved in the district feel like they belong there, and that we're connecting and engaging both internally and externally with our partners in our towns and cities that we serve, and that we have a culture of belonging. So again, thank you for the opportunity to visit with you. Those are our district goals and priorities. I could spend more time on it, but I'm going to hustle through this. You may or may not know the district encompasses 234 square miles. It's not the largest district in Texas, particularly if you go out west where you have large land masses, but very, very large district for the fact that we're only about a third built out. So it's kind of scary when I show you some numbers in just a second. We are one of the fastest growing districts. We trade places with Prosper. For the last few quarters, really several quarters, we've been leading. This quarter, you'll see a chart here in a second that they're a little bit ahead of us on a couple of the measures. We currently have 35 campuses, 23 elementary schools, 7 middle schools, 3 comprehensive high schools, and then Steele Early College High School. We also have LLC, Legacy Learning Center, our special program center. We serve all, we're part of 14 towns and change, and 3 different counties, Wise, Tarrant, and Denton County. And as I said, about a third built out. Here's a map of where our current and some of our future campuses are. That bottom left there where it says 2025 through 2027. So we're going to open 2 replacement elementary schools and 3 additional elementary schools in the next few years. We're also going to open middle school number 8 and high school number 4. Middle school 8 in 2026, high school number 4 in 2027. We already have construction started on one of our 4 early childhood centers, which serves pre-K students only, 4-year-olds. We hope to ultimately build out 4 of those in the really around the district, north, south, east, and west, so geographically. But those are the projects from the 2023 bond. Scary. Before the bond election, we said it was 1.99 billion. Since it passed, we say $2 billion worth of, y'all get the joke, $1.99, $2. Okay. Not funny. I'll try again in a minute. But all that to say, these are campuses that we're going to be opening over the next few years. It's for the next 8,400 students. We don't know how quickly they'll come. We had one year where we added 500 students, and then right after the pandemic, we added 2,200 students. We've leveled off back to adding about 1,200 students per year. Our net gain in students is plus 1,200. So we hope that allows us to work the next few years with the schools that we have on the books to build already. As I said, trading places with Prosper, we're the second fastest growing district in North Texas. Probably next quarter, if I came back, we'd be back to the top of the list. We're still at the top of the list of the number of vacant developed lots, VDLs. It's 3,900 in our district. That means they've been platted, approved, developed, ready to build a house. They just want the builder to build it. And then we have 40,000 future lots. Again, been approved by a municipality, been platted. They're on the books to be built. We just don't know when they will be built. The district is growing. It's unlike many districts across the state because we're not just growing in one place. We're actually growing all over the place. North and North Lake area, out west here, just right across the street, Reunion, Bluestem. And then in the southern portion, that's where a tremendous amount of density is in Fort Worth. But it's just moving up. It's moving out west. It's moving north. And we're growing all over the place. So we see green and yellow. Those are actively developing. Basically, between the actively building and future subdivisions, we have over 100 different residential areas that are being developed right now in our district. So when we say that we're a third built out at 32,000 students, when our district fully builds out with residential and commercial, we'll be more than 90,000 student school district. So one of the largest in the state of Texas. Reunion is one of those developments that's in our area on 3433. It's projected to have 7,500 rooftops as well as commercial. Originally, I think it had 10,000 rooftops. They've reduced that and added some commercial to that development. We hope that doesn't come in the next few years. We hope they spread that growth out over time, but we do know that development is underway. I mentioned we currently have 32,000 students. Again, I joined the district a couple of years ago. We had 29 and we were like, we're going to hit 30, we're going to hit 30. And then we hit 31 and now we've hit 32. So that growth continues. we will be up to 46,000 students in about a decade, which is just incredible to imagine. So let me put that as a point of reference. We talked about our 75th year anniversary. I guess 21 years ago, 2003, the district had 6,000 students, actually 6,177. When the district came together, those four towns came together, we had 700 students. So we went from 6,000 21 years ago to 32,000. And then the next decade, we intend to accelerate to 46,000. So again, a fast growth district. Seven Hills Elementary School was an elementary replacement. The district built that original Seven Hills Elementary, didn't even go out to the community for a bond. They used raised funds to build that building. And it far exceeded its lifetime or life expectancy, but this is the new build, again, not too far from here, Seven Hills Elementary. We're currently, as you know, building a replacement for Prairie View Elementary as well. There's a construction site. The quicker the sooner, right? The quicker we're done, everyone will be happy. We concur, we agree. Chisholm Trail Middle School has received some improvements from the 2023 bond program. They received a furniture replacement, water conservation or irrigation upgrades, additional bleachers are a project that's coming, but we've got most of the projects that were in that bond program completed. Northwest High School is getting a 100% renovation while the kids and teachers are living in it. They've been absolutely amazing. Obviously, that's your feeder high school. And when that project is done, which it should be done by the beginning of school, August of 2025, it is absolutely beautiful. And if anybody's been in that building or ever had experience in the building, it is night and day what it looked like 2 years ago. It has a brand new STEM center. It will have a brand new 3,000 seat arena, the largest in the district. And we're expanding the capacity of the core areas, the cafeteria, again, the gym, the library. We're building that building out. Instead of a 5A school, it's going to be a 6A capacity that can handle more than 3,000 students. So that project is, again, happening. The way it's happening while the kids are in it, there's 30 plus classrooms, outside in temporary buildings. So they're running half the school outside of the building walls. This is just an overall Gantt chart of the projects as they unfold. Parent Elementary is our most recent elementary that we opened this year. The Pike Middle School, which is another one of the feeder schools, was replaced and opened this cycle. I should have had a picture there. Admin building is being built. Interesting about the admin building, if anyone ever asks you, why are they spending tax dollars on an administration building? Let them go work in a shack out back. That proposition actually passed by voters twice. It was in the bond in the 2021 program. Because of escalation of costs because of COVID, we needed an elementary more than we need an admin building. So they pushed that project off, built the elementary, put the admin building on the 2023 bond and passed again in that Proposition A. And so finally, we've added, I can't remember how many millions of square feet of learning space, but they haven't added any administrative space in the last few years. And so we will actually be adding administrative square footage. So that project's set to be completed by the end of this spring semester. And again, the Justin replacement, Justin Elementary is being replaced, Prairie View Elementary is being replaced, middle school number 8 and high school number 9, early childhood that I mentioned earlier. Those are all projects currently in progress. I think that may be it. If you ever have any questions, we do have a NISDTXconstruction.org is our construction website. We put frequent updates there. We like to come out and share with you the projects that are in your area or in your feeders, but we have information about all the projects in the district if you want to take a look. So I'll open the floor for any questions.
I have a question. I'm sure it's on the minds of a lot of people here. What are the future plans for your land over here by Ellis Homestead? Is there a timeline? I know they're supposed to put a high school there, but could you kind of fill people in on what to expect?
Yes, sir. I think that is the what I call the Hodebeck site. Is there a big hill right in the middle of it?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, and I know what you're talking about. That is a high school site, and it actually is set up to where it could be a high school and a middle school site. It really depends on when the kids come. So it's interesting. The town of North Lake has said recently that they're going to get high school number 5. But we really don't know that. It could be out here. It depends on when the density comes and it calls for a high school. So we just pay attention to the demographer. We get those reports literally every quarter. We report those to the board of trustees and to our community. And as those numbers proliferate and we need that high school out here, that is our site. for that high school.
I appreciate it. Mainly, but most people would like is just keep the communication open so we manage expectations. So it's, we very much appreciate that. Thank you for bringing some information.
Yes, sir. And anytime you guys have questions, we're open door and we'd be glad to continue the partnership with your town. So thank you very much for your time.
I also have questions. Sorry, Dr.
Yes,
House.
ma'am. Please.
Okay, so, and it is also true, correct, that it takes a few years to build a high school?
Yes,
So once you decide it's needed, it's still probably 2.5, 2.5, 3 out?
Just to be clear, if that's broken, I didn't do that.
No.
I knew that was coming.
No, yes, ma'am. So, really 3 years. Once we have started earthwork early and you try to go out in early packages for what we call dirt work and switch gear or the big electrical stuff. You do that on the front end as quickly as you can because it takes all of 24 months just for the construction of the walls and the building and the finishes and so forth. So if you really go back to when the bond passes to construction, you might be talking 3, 4, 5 years. Because once that bond package is approved by the voters, have you already done the design work? So I'll give you a great example. If this was high school number 5, the next time we go out for bond, most likely you won't have high school number 5 in there, but you will have the architectural fees to do the design work. So for the next bond, you can press go if you pass that election and you can start on going out for construction. You're already at CDs and construction documents and you're ready to go. So we have to phase that out and we try to think forward. And that's why we pay so much attention to the demographer. He'll tell us when the time's coming and he'll say, you're about 3 years out from capacity on your 4 high schools. You're going to need to figure out where number 5 is. We're not there yet. We're trying to get high school number 4 on the ground, but we started that early construction. It won't open until 2027. So yes, ma'am, we'll have plenty of advance notice.
Okay, I just want, everybody can calm down just a little bit. Okay, and one more thing. So in regards to early learning centers, so I think initially the plan was for the old Prairie View to be an early learning center, perhaps. And so now that I understand now that that's not the case. I don't know if that's true. I haven't heard from the horse's mouth. I'm sorry, but in this instance, you're the
That's
horse.
me.
Okay, so I'm just curious, what is the timeline for the west side to receive an early learning center out here? I know that we're the highest population of title schools. We do not have the advantage of having, little daycares and a lot of opportunity for early learning out here. And I also know the population of special education students is higher on this side of the district. So what is the timeline and are those things being taken into account for the west side?
Yes, ma'am. I would tell you that we were able to procure the site sooner. And as you know, the Prairie View site, the replacement is kind of on top of, and that's the reason why we're going to have to demo that building. It is going to be early childhood center number 2. The hard part is almost certainly, I can't guarantee that, but almost certainly for all the reasons that you just described, the need primarily for kids. What we don't know yet is what the legislature is going to do with public school funding. And that's why we actually delayed the opening of the first one because of the maintenance and operations costs by adding that program. Currently, we get half-day funding, but we educate kids all day long. And I tease and say it's because they're shorter. They give us less money. I don't know, because they're pre-K kids. Still not funny? Okay. But I'll laugh at myself. But all kidding aside, the state may change that and go to full day funding for full day pre-K, which is required by law. When they do that, that unlocks the M&O. So we're really waiting on this legislative session, the 89th, and tracking that very closely on how they handle that funding. Otherwise, it's a very, very expensive program. Great for kids and great for communities, but it's very cost intensive. And today we've been working this fall and spring on cutting $16 million out of our deficit. So now's not a great time to add additional programs. It's why we delayed constructing and opening ECC number 1.
Can you also tell us where is that early learning center, the west side?
We don't have that site secured.
You don't have it.
No, but we're working on
Okay,
it. So,
all right, thank
yes,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We're gonna go ahead and move to item number 4 real quick, which is approval of a proclamation for our current chief of police, Mr. Eric Debus. All right. Sir, I'd like to read this where the microphone can hear me.
Want to step over?
I would like it up with my team as well.
Yeah, please.
Doug, I'll stand up here with you. Come on, sit there. Come on.
All right, gentlemen. Proclamation of the City Council of Rome, Texas, honoring Chief Eric Debus for his dedication and commitment to the Rome Police Department. Whereas the City Council and staff members of the City of Rome would like to express their appreciation to Chief Eric Debus and honor him for his dedicated service to the resident and business community of Rome. And whereas Chief Debus began his time with Rome in June of 2021 and has over 29 years of commitment to public safety. And whereas Chief Debus worked tirelessly to update policies and procedures and to improve the culture within the department for the staff team. And whereas over his career, he has served in patrol, traffic, criminal investigations, the special investigations units, and oversaw the school resource officer program, and has held multiple positions of command leadership in addition to his time as Rome's chief of police. And whereas is an instructor in the multiple law enforcement disciplines and is a member of multiple police and public safety related organizations. And whereas he has brought professionalism to our department and a sense of service to our community. And whereas on behalf of the entire city council and staff team members, we want to express our sincere appreciation to Chief Debus and his family for their dedication, loyalty, and commitment to the Rome community, and wish him great success in his work as Chief Deputy with the Wise County Sheriff's Office. Okay.
Can I say something real quick?
When you're gone.
I will miss you, Miss Eason, very much so, especially your husband barbecue. Thank you, Mayor. And it was very important for me to call my team up to be with me. That absolutely does not happen. That proclamation cannot be read without guys that were standing with me, that were with me through the rebuilding of this agency. And I'm not only proud to have been a part of it, but the fact that they came along and helped me with that was something I'll always be very proud of. So I just want to recognize them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I love the photo bomb in the back, Chris. That's great.
All right, at this time, according to section 551.071, consultation with attorney pending or contemplated litigation, settlement offer, or to seek advice from attorney, as well as number 3, section 551.074, personnel, discuss appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or hear complaint or charge against officer or employee in executive session unless officer or employee requests a public hearing. Topics to be discussed will be the city administrator and city secretary evaluation and the municipal court judge interviews and appointment. Time now is 6:29. We will move into executive session.
Guess who's gonna do agenda 2 and 3 when he gets back?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
I do walk with.
It is now 7:35. We are back from executive session. Now, as a result of executive session, does council wish to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city administrator to enter into negotiations for a judge to serve as a Rome Municipal Court judge.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All in favor. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. Item number 2 on the agenda.
If I may interrupt, Judge,
Sure.
just to be clear, this is not an appointment tonight. The final appointment will have to come back to the full council and will have to be put on the agenda, and you guys will have to do that by that formal motion.
Did I say a point?
No,
Okay.
I just want to make sure for the record.
We understand. All right, item number 2 on the agenda, the presentation on the condition and status of our fire apparatus. Chief Estes, the floor is yours.
All right, there's a lot to talk about on that topic. I'll keep it. The main issue we have right now is engine 217. It's it's not out of service, but it is ready for retirement. It's on its 22nd year. It has a busted tank, and every time I get a bid for this tank, it's gone from 20 now up to somewhere between 50 and 80,000 to get it fixed. The tank's actually warranty for life. You have to disassemble the entire engine to get to the tank, and that's where the costs come from. So, and there's no parts available for it, so they'll have to make a tank for it. Holds about 300 some gallons now, and it's supposed to hold 750 gallons, and I'm afraid it's gonna keep cracking the more we use it. We can use it from a hydrant. That's not the problem, but we can only use it where we have hydrants, and we cover 54 square miles. Rome's what, 19 square miles?
Well, with the
50, so
TJ.
that's basically where our hydrants are. So there's not a lot of places that we use, and knock on wood, we had very little fires in Rome. I think there's only been one in the past.
Well, and just to be clear, Chief, that square mileage is in the ETJ, so we don't put
ETJ.
hydrants out in there.
Right.
We're really only about 4 square miles in the city.
Right, it's all rural, so about 50 square miles is rural where we depend on water on the truck to fight fire with initially. So that's one of the problems. The other problem with it is that it needs several safety updates. The seat belts are frayed. They're not cheap. The seats are all coming apart. And this might sound crazy, but it doesn't have an air conditioner. So when we do use it out on the highway, and we have a long wreck or extrication or death, sometimes death, Chief Davis can tell you, takes up to 4 hours. We're out there 4 to 5 hours on the highway. And so we have to get DPS, sheriff, EMS, fire, everybody in and out of the engine to cool down while we're out there waiting on everybody to get their stuff done. So that's very important to have AC here in this part of the country. I'm not saying it to be whining about it, but it does make a big difference out on the highway. So I put stuff on each one of y'all's about the financing and leasing of it, rev financing, government capitals too. I think it's 897,500 is what I asked for, because you're gonna have to have equipment on the apparatus when you get it. There's certain things you're gonna have to purchase for it. Even though we have old stuff on the old engine, we need to update some of that and keep some for reserve in case we need backup tools or and hoses. That is for a Spartan engine. And I'm probably talking Greek to some people, but it's an engine called a Spartan. It's very well built. It is not a high price Cadillac, but it is a very, very effective engine. And it's the one that most of us on the fire side prefer. I did find out today, through another guy, he called me, we have one available. And it can be ready by February if we get the loan, our lease or loan, and it's 675,000. It's way off the 895,000 portion of it.
Would you repeat that if we get what?
You go through GovCap and you do a lease,
Yeah,
like what you see the financing in front of you
Yeah.
now.
financing, it's there from Rev and government financing. They're pretty close to the same. I mean, there's not a whole lot of difference. So on a fire truck, the first 10 year or first 15 years shows that it's a frontline service. After 15 years, 15 to 20, it goes into reserve status. So you use it when something goes down. After that, it really needs to be retired. especially in this city, as hard as we run them and the 54 square miles and all the roads we run on, it's pretty rough on them. So we are talking about, looking into an AFP grant, a government grant. It's actually due by the 20th, to do it. We have a person that's already looking at it. Jesse's actually did a lot of legwork for his stuff, and she also writes AFG grants for fire and has done a lot of them. That grant wouldn't be due, I mean, we'd turn it in by the 20th. It's gonna cost up to $7,500 if it takes the whole amount of time. That's per hour, so it's 40 hours for 7,500. She probably will be done quicker, because I'm sure with her, it'll be cut and paste. Just put a different name on it and send it in to them, because it's pretty basic grant for her. If that would come to fruition and we get it and we don't do this lease, and, if you decide not to do this lease, it's gonna take about 24 months to 36 months to build an engine. So another 2 years to 2.5 years, maybe 3 to get one built. And the price is more than likely it's going to go up. I sent you all an email. I hope you all got it. So it'll more than likely go up. It'll probably be up in the 900s to $1 million by now.
So what's the situation on the one that the gentleman contacted you about, that 675,000? Is it a used vehicle?
They do,
Was it-
no, they do a stock one. They do one stock truck a month, and this one would be available in February. We can still make a few little tweaks to it if we want to, like the color of the paint. We could do that if we wanted to, at a nominal cost, and get that changed, but it will be ready to roll out February 1st.
Did you have government capital run the numbers on that?
Not on the 670, because I just found that out today. He was on vacation and he.
New truck or?
That's a brand new truck.
you're
That's
talking
brand,
about,
it's a Spartan. It's the same chassis that we're looking at. That's 800 and something thousand. The 800 something thousand has a little bit more bells and whistles on it, but it still has all the safety features. There's multiple airbags on this thing. It's got anti-roll on it, which we need. It's governed to 65 miles an hour. You can't go over 65 miles an hour in it, and chances of wrecking are a lot less on that. But the safety feature is just amazing compared to what it was 22 years ago. Engine 317, by the way, May of next year, 2025, it reaches its 16th year. So we've got 4 years left on it. So I would say go ahead and try to do the grant. If y'all want to do the lease, get the lease, and then have one built, which is 3 years down the road. And then take that grant money to pay for that. But that's just a suggestion.
Wait, you're saying to wait 3 years?
No.
Oh,
I'm saying get the lease or purchase option for the engine right now, the one I found today that was 675. Go ahead and apply for the grant, because you won't know till middle of next year or the end of next year if you get the grant. So if you get the grant, I'm not sure what it is, as long as you can hold that. Sometimes grants, you have to spend the money in a certain amount of time. But you can spend it, you can go ahead and order the truck, but you won't get it for another 2 to 3 years down the road. For a tender to take the place of the 317, which will be out in 4 more years for retirement.
okay, so that one was for another truck or a different truck.
Yeah, I say go for the grant too, is what I'm saying, because to me, it makes sense to go for the grant and order a truck 2, 3 years down the road. You're not making payments on it. You just go ahead and order it with the grant money for the tender to replace. It's called engine 317. It holds 3,000 gallons of water, so it's actually a water tender for our use out in the other 50 square miles that we cover. And we get a lot of calls for tender tankers out in the county, because 3,000 gallons of water goes a long ways on fighting a fire, if you are trained professionally to do that.
So the one now, what does that look like financially for us?
I can run some numbers, but if you'll recall at our last meeting, when we were looking at a modular building, it was similar to the same cost structure as this, and the cost was coming in at about $80,000 or $85,000 a year. So if you took it out 12 payments or 12 years instead of the 5 that it shows at the beginning, we definitely need to finance it for as long as possible. So somewhere about 80,000, I think, is what that cost was.
I guess, is that gonna put us in a bind? Can we do that?
Well, we have a considerable amount of reserves that we can use along those lines, but if you're asking if we have the current capacity in the budget to just place the order now, I'm not gonna know that until we are further into this fiscal year. We do have surplus from the previous fiscal year, so that's not an issue for us. But I'm not gonna know how Ace Hardware is going to impact us. They're expecting to be open in February of this year, so we're going to see not only a different ad valorem structure on that property, but we're also going to see sales and use tax that comes in, which will affect our bottom line considerably.
Something that I didn't tell you about this, the day that we would sign the papers for it, the first payment's not due till a year from the time you sign that paper. So say we sign it in January 15th, payment won't be due till January 15th of 2026.
Which would allow us a considerable amount of lead time to plan.
So is this the one that's 675, the one that is gonna be available? Is that doable? Can we?
I mean, we have funds in reserve. We have at least 300,000 just in the general fund savings account that is there, that is being invested. So we can certainly look at something along those lines. And we, as I mentioned to you before, we often budget at a certain amount and we often come in much lower than what we budgeted as far as what our expenditures are going to be. I was trying to pull up some of the information that I just received from GovCap to give you an actual amount on what that was. And if you give me a minute, I can find
Real
it.
quick, as I understand this, we have two engines. One of them's needs to be replaced now. Another one's gonna need to be replaced in the next 3 or 4 years.
Yes, sir.
So we're talking about buying a bargain truck now, which is still new. And then applying for a grant, which may take a year to get or more to hold for the next truck. So, yeah,
I feel like we're in desperate need of our.
well, I know they're both,
Yeah, we've passed that.
they've been used and abused.
And
Another good thing about it is you have a year time you sign it to make your first payment.
Right.
So
What would we do with the old truck?
the old truck, what we're thinking about doing, because we have a fire academy every year, and we're getting more and more people in it, to take the wear and tear off of using a new engine to run around in, also do parades. Keep the American La France, because it's worth money if you part it out later on down the road, because they don't make parts anymore. But if we could keep it just, it looks nice on the outside, it really does. People, oh, that looks good. So you open the doors, see all this stuff and hanging out of the seats, but, fix it up a little bit, just spend very little money to make it look shiny and use it for Christmas parades, for just parades around, training, so you don't wear and tear the other one down. So that was our ideal. So, you know, we can still keep it as long as we're hooked up to a hydrant. I don't care if the tank splits, because it doesn't go through the tank. It goes straight through the piping whenever we pop through the hydrant.
Big council, looking at the numbers that we received on the modular building, to finance 600,000 for 15 payments, which may be a little different if this is a vehicle. I see their structure slightly different here, but the payment was $60,000 a year. So somewhere between 60 and 75, I think, would be the payment on this unit that he just learned about.
What I'm also thinking is that we have a loan out right now that by 2025, it will be completely paid back down. I think it's a $50,000
Correct.
loan that we're already paying on now. So if it's 60, we're actually paying 10 more thousand, just like we have been doing.
We do have some capacity, and because we want to be very judicious in the capacity. Does that make sense?
Well, the first truck you're talking about, is you buying it or leasing?
Well, it's called a lease buy option. It doesn't, it's the same thing. That's just how they word it on the paperwork, lease buy. It's yours when you finish paying for it.
And we're responsible for maintenance and upkeep and insurance and everything. Yeah.
Right, but it's yours at the end. When you make your last payment, that truck is yours. It's.
I guess they call it lease with the.
So
it's just how they-
you're still buying it, you're not actually leasing it where it goes, okay.
No, it's just the way they format it. Every time I've ever dealt with a fire truck in my career, it's always lease/buy, but it's always a buy.
Most cities don't have that kind of cash sitting around to purchase, so they go through GovCap or some other a company that will underwrite it at a lower interest rate than generally what's in the market so that cities can access the equipment they need and make it affordable because they know cities are a good bargain on which to invest. I mean, we're generally going to budget well and we're going to be conservative in that approach and you'll have the funds to pay it back. And so GovCap is a company that we've used multiple times. And to Chief's point, he's got a loan out. I think it's closer to 58,000 that's going to get paid off. So by the time you have one coming in the door and one going out, it may be very minimal of an impact to us.
I think we're actually gonna pay a big chunk of that off this, or we maybe already paid it off. I'm gonna pay it off right here real soon.
I haven't looked at that component, but I know it's coming due. So yes.
So which was the truck? So there's one truck here that's 897,000. Then there's another truck that's available.
676, it's like 675. He just told me about it today.
So what is that one called?
It's for, and it's the picture you have on there. There's a picture of it on the back. That's actually a picture of the truck.
If we're going to talk about it, I don't need to be able to say where we're going.
So the question on the table from Chief is, we have the option to pursue a grant, which would pay for one of these vehicles. Both of our apparatus need to be replaced, just given time and service and wear and tear. Neither one of them were bought new by the city of Rome. So if we apply for a grant for one, by the time the grant is funded, if we receive it and we place an order, it could be 2 to 3 years before we receive it. But this one that he learned about today that could be ready in February is one that we could enter into a lease purchase through GovCap. The first payment would not be due until a year from when we take possession, which is likely after we pay off the loan that they're currently paying on one of their units. So it's going to be like two ships passing, if you will. So he's asking two questions. One about the one we just found out that's come online that is couple 100,000 less than the one that we would apply for a grant. And then he's asking for direction to pursue that grant for a second unit that would come at a later time and would replace engine 315, which is also nearing its end of life.
Yeah, it's like I said, May will be 16 years and 20 years is retirement age. And on 317, since it's a 3,000 gallon tanker, if we go that route and it actually gets retired when it's supposed to, I'd like to put a Scorpion on the back, fill the water tank full of sand, and it will be a really nice road blocker for these wrecks. Nobody wrong. That's what Irving's been doing for years. They take their old ladder trucks and turn them into blockers.
I know you said GovCap because we've used them, but there's a considerable difference in interest rates for the 12-year.
We could pursue through either one of these financing entities. And that's a big difference. So we could look either direction. That's why Chief's presenting just.
Now, Rev, I think was September, government capital is October. So it could change by now because it's December.
I see.
So I'm not sure if that's going to be, the interest rate should be close, if not the same, but it could change. I don't know.
We could check.
I will get all those figures for the January meeting. Actually, I'll email those to you as soon as I get them. If y'all decide to look into this further, I will go with the 675 engine and get a new quote for that through Rev and government capital.
If we delay this, do we risk losing this truck you just found?
Oh, yeah, it'll be on. They go pretty quick, because I only get one a month bought in.
Yeah, I think we need to for the 675 one and the grant.
Well, let's let you got any more, Chief? You need to tell us?
No, that's about it.
All right, well, with that said, does council wish to make a motion?
I move, well, I don't know if it's motion or direction.
It's the same either way. You
Okay,
can put your direction in the form of a motion.
okay. I move, for city staff to enter into a lease purchase agreement for the acquisition of a new fire truck not to exceed 700,000. To come online in February, that's the goal, right? And to pursue a grant opportunity to replace engine 315.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council.
All right, moving on. Item number 3 in the agenda, approving a memorandum of understanding and or related documents to allocate the remaining American Rescue Plan Act funds or ARPA funds. I'll
So,
turn it over to
I'm
you.
sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to cut you off. Council, this is just a formal agreement through a memorandum of understanding that was drafted through GrantWorks, our grant provider for the ARPA funds that allocates that $116,000 formally to a modular building as we discussed at our last meeting. It just needs your approval on the record, and then we'll have the appropriate signatures affixed to the document, and I will get it back to GrantWorks.
Any questions? Discussion?
This one, the motion would be moved to authorize the execution.
Okay, so we're not approving the memorandum of understanding.
Wording is particular in this instance, so if you would strike out what I gave you and list what Carvin had suggested.
All right, is there any discussion? No discussion? I'll open the floor for motions.
I make a motion to approve the execution of the memorandum of understanding and or related documents to allocate the remaining American Rescue Plan Acts Fund.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Hi.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, council.
All right, at this time, again, I would like to bring us into executive session. I'll read section 551.071, consultation with attorney, pending or contemplated litigation, settlement offer, or to seek advice from attorney, as well as section 551.074, personnel, discuss appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or hear complaint or charge against officer or employee in executive session, unless officer or employee requests a public hearing, and this will pertain to the city administrator and city secretary evaluation. It is now 7:57. We move to executive session.
You better take one because I'm going to.
You're on TV.
Okay. Awesome.
session was council prefer to take action or make a motion.
Yes, Ms. Degan, on behalf of the council, we'd just like to thank you for the hard work that you have done, totally changing the climate and the culture of Rome. By providing a positive work environment, by helping create a culture, not just amongst the staff, but amongst the community of inclusion and positivity and just your get her done attitude. We love that, and your willingness to find a way and to communicate with everyone. We appreciate your tirelessness in fielding concerns as they arise and doing your best to address those in a professional manner. And we know that it's taken a lot, and we just want you to know that we appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, and we'd like to make a motion to amend Ms. Degan's contract to adjust her base pay by 5% for the upcoming year.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank
The
you,
record
council.
reflect that's an increase by 5%?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, to adjust her pay in a positive manner by 5%.
Okay, that's just a 5% increase. Thank you very much.
and Brooke, we appreciate you.
Yeah, we
Thank
thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much for your hard work. All right, at this time, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting's adjourned.
Well done.
We'll see you all Saturday.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, did you hear what I was saying? I was like, oh,